Hi everyone, it's Varouche and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to hop on here today to talk about a huge transit that is just about to happen, and I think we should give ourselves a heads up before it happens so that we can get familiar with these energies. Today we're going to do an astrological overview first, and then we're going to get into an all sign reading for every single sign so that you can get familiar with this energy for your sign. I read for sun, moon, and rising, so you can watch for either one of those and it will be a correct message for each of those placements. And so I wanted to do this intro before we get closer to the new moon. The transit that I have in mind is actually right after the new moon, so we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. But the new moon is in the context of this transit, and definitely the eclipse that's coming up on September 18th is actually really what this transit is interacting with very intimately. So I'm going to explain a top level explanation here today. It's not going to be like super heavy. It's just going to give you an idea of what's going on. I've already made some posts about this, and I'll try to answer some of the questions people have had about the transit. So on other platforms, I made like short comments about it, and so people were curious. So I'll try to explain some of those, and then we'll get into a sign by sign reading. I know I've been away a lot or recently for a long time. I'm hoping that this video will be available for everyone, indefinitely, so the public visibility. But there is a chance that I might have to make it a members only video again. So I can't tell you the parameters of why I would choose to do that, but there is a chance that this video may become members only. So if you're not a member and you want to see this and you're catching this live, then by all means join us and watch it now, because it may not be available later. Once the video is posted, if you're watching this a couple days from August 29th and the video is still posted and you can see it, then it's not a members only video. So once the video posts to public, it will stay public indefinitely after that. So you can take a chance and it may be available for the public. I'm sorry I've been away. By no means is this going to be a channel where you have to pay to watch. So if you're worried that you have to pay for a subscription to watch any of this, you won't. I just have some catching up to do for members only content. So there are certain videos that you're going to see over the next couple weeks come up that are for members only. That's only because I've promised them I would do a video, and so we're doing that. So maybe you have been a member in the last few months and have suspended your subscription. If this is the case, you will see several videos coming up for members only. So maybe you can think about coming back and you will get a nice big selection of videos. I have two membership tiers. I have Varouchian's level, which is a collective reading. It usually focuses on some very specific topic that I talk about for about an hour, and we discuss about something in depth or do a collective message reading with the tarot. I also have an all stars tier, which is the upper tier, and that's an all sign reading for every single sign about once a month. And so that's what this may end up being, but we'll see at the end. I can't tell you now which one of this video will be, so stick around and find out. But I really wanted to come on today to talk about this transit before you guys get into your Labor Day weekend festivities. Okay, so it's really important for you guys to know this, and if you follow me on Instagram or other platforms, you may have heard me mention this already. We're entering a time in which there is a possible transit that could lead to difficulties for all of us. Now, I don't want this to be a doom and gloom reading, so don't worry about it. It's not. but there is a little bit of a warning right off the bat that this year, this transit that we're going to talk about today may trigger certain events in the world or in your personal life that you may want to be aware of before you make your Labor Day plans. Specifically, a fixed star called Algol, the Medusa star. We've heard all about this year because when Trump was almost assassinated, there was a conjunction between Uranus and Mars under this star, and this star is connected with head trauma. So the fact that the bullet nicked his ear is kind of indicative of what the star represents. There's a long history of this star connected to that type of violence. More traditionally, it's called blunt force trauma to the head. So guns and things are not necessarily like a part of that, but anything like to do with the head and events with the head are really endemic of transits that are near this star or on this star. And so Uranus is on top of this star all year. It's about to turn retrograde on September 1st and then pull away from the star, but then it's going to move onto it again. And so there are several different transits that are happening coinciding to this that may trigger events in the world or in your personal life that have this quality. And so the star is triggered, in other words. So you want to be aware of this. This does not mean something bad will happen to you or your family, but I really wanted to spell out for you guys what the warning signs are so you can make your own best decisions moving forward. Overall, this transit, the whole transit that we're talking about, which is called a kite, is actually a marker of change for the next 10 years, the next decade. And so last year we had the first stages of this. It was kind of like a precursor, but this year is the first year in which we have some pretty tight orbs between the planets that are involved, and it's the first year in which this kite becomes really activated. And so a kite is pushing us forward towards some destination, and I'll talk to you guys about this, but I first want to address this issue with the Medusa star being activated. And so what's happening on September 3rd to the 4th specifically is that the moon will transit over here at the end of Virgo and create a trine to Uranus in Taurus underneath the Medusa star, and Pluto will have just ventured back into Capricorn at 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is called a grand trine, specifically just between the moon, Pluto, and Uranus, and it will be near exact within 1 or 2 degrees. And so I believe that this combination is likely to bring forward certain events in the world. So I mentioned this in a short video. Let me tell you what to watch out for now. So there are certain elements to this star. There's certain traditions with this star. So we mentioned the blunt force trauma. How this applies to us collectively is that in the world somewhere, like a public figure or someone who's very important may experience something, maybe not necessarily what Trump did, but there may be something in the news involving someone experiencing, an attack to the head, something like this. Other kind of public things to do with, actually, before I get into that, on a personal level, what this means for you is that you're more susceptible. This isn't guaranteed, but you're more susceptible to experience like some kind of trauma to your body, because this is an Earth grand trine connecting to Medusa. And so this may actually trigger for you, things, corporal things. So if you're going out biking in wild terrain, or if you're going surfing, some extreme events, I would really advise you against thinking twice about that, especially if you're a cusper between Capricorn and Aquarius, if you have significant placements there, Taurus and Gemini, or Virgo and Libra. So those Earth-air cusps are particularly susceptible to this. And so if you have placements there and you're about to do some extreme sport or some really physical activity, I would say be cautious under this transit. The energy of this transit is going to escalate right up until the 3rd and the 4th, and then it will de-escalate quickly. So that means that even from now on, August 29th, until September 3rd and 4th, we have an increased chance of risk. So in the global scale, there might be an event happening to do with someone getting hurt, but you also are susceptible to this kind of energy. So that's number one. Number two is, let's talk about geopolitics a bit more. So continuing with this idea of the physical element, in geopolitics or in terms of the world, there may be an escalation somewhere in the world, okay, in terms of violence. And I don't want to get into this in this video. I'm not trying to worry you. Again, these are probabilities, not guarantees. So this is just, a very concentrated transit that may actually begin some things happening. One of the incidents that I'm most concerned about looking at this transit is Russia and Ukraine. If you've watched my content back to 2022, when I was talking more directly about Ukraine, I pointed out that I believe that Putin, the leader of Russia, I believe that his moon is actually under the star, because there was a lot of events that were happening coinciding with this transit, and his moon is said to be like a 2-degree Gemini moon. And of course, with many world leaders, he was born in 1952. We may not have the accurate time of birth, and technically on the day that he was born, it is possible that he was born at a time when the moon was under the star. So the moon moves quite quickly, and it could have been in that position. And already I've seen him comment serious things about escalation. There's already been more violence in Ukraine, and with different world events that have been happening with regard to Germany. A lot of shifts have been happening to do with that conflict. And so this transit may actually trigger something like this. So increased violence on a large scale is possible. For you personally, what I'm concerned about, and this is my concern, is that if you are in a public space with lots of other people, this may be a time in which there is increased violence. So again, you want to be aware of that. It's up to you. Violence is not going to happen everywhere. So if you have family plans or something, then by all means go in and enjoy that. But I think it's really I think it's really important to acknowledge the possibility that something may happen with regard to this grand trine that's happening. Okay, so we'll talk about some of like the bigger conceptual things to do with this a little later, but I'm just speaking very specifically what this entails for us right now. So like one thing about the Medusa star, it's actually the star that convinced me about fixed stars, because there is so much credible, pragmatic, physical, documented correlations linked to this star that it's almost mind-blowing how specific it is, how it shows up in a physical sense in the world. So there's so many examples, but a famous one is Freud had his Mars on top of this placement, 27 degrees of Taurus, and he famously suffered from jaw cancer, and that ultimately took away his jaw. So his jaw throughout his whole life became eroded and fell back. And Mars is connected with the mouth and speaking. So there's so many examples. Bob Saget fell and hit his head in the tub, and he had placements conjunct this star. Leon Trotsky from communism, right? He was hit in the head with an axe in Mexico. That's how he was assassinated. So there are so many correlations, not just in individual lives, but also in world events. in 2010, there was the Olympics were in Vancouver, and there was a luge person who went down the luge and with the luge, and he hit his head on the pole when the star was activated. So there's a whole chain of events that really are connected with the star. It's very literal and very, you can see it, like the star is present in so many of these cases of head trauma. So I really do believe in this transit. So that's level. So we talked about the head trauma piece, the public warning, to do with like public places. I would be a little cautious. I'm not doing anything for Labor Day. I'm staying in, staying out of trouble and not pushing the envelope at all. And the last third thing that I'm concerned about with this transit is that the moon will be here at apogee. And so it's going to be furthest from the earth. And so Lilith is just over in Libra. Lilith is the furthest point. So the moon is almost at apogee there. And what that means is that whenever there's a moon at apogee, and when Pluto was at 29 degrees of Capricorn in 23 and 22, there were massive tectonic events around the world. There was the Tonga volcano, and there was the massive earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. And again, I'm not scaring anyone, just caution. I live on fault lines that are overdue for earthquakes, so I'm not picking on anyone. This is my own self-interest, my own self-preservation is triggered by this, and I'm concerned by this for a personal reason as well. But there is some correlation to do with this, and that Turkey earthquake in Syria was actually at a time when I think Jupiter was in this position as well. So there was this activation that happened between the 29 degrees of Capricorn, Pluto, and then like Jupiter or something in Taurus at 20. I don't think it was Jupiter. I think it was maybe the moon, and the moon was at apogee. It might have been the moon, and maybe Venus was here. I don't remember. We'll look back on it, but I just want to give you some warning because the moon on the 3rd to the 4th will be in this position. I'm not talking about your regular earthquakes like 5.0 Richter scale. Those happen all the time. I'm talking about big earthquakes. We recently had a massive earthquake in Japan, and they're already saying that there's going to be a mega quake. This is what I'm concerned about. My area on the West Coast, we're overdue for an earthquake, and I'm worried that a mega quake is coming. Also, massive volcanoes. So Tonga wasn't just like a regular volcano. It was a huge volcano, I think almost the size of France, underneath the water, and that's what kind of the water, kind of held in that impact. But that was a massive explosion. And already since the time that there was that earthquake in Japan a couple weeks ago, there was also a massive earthquake in Russia, and also a volcano began erupting there. Also huge earthquakes, 7.5 plus earthquakes have begun happening. I also believe that a volcano in Iceland has become active, so the earth is shaking. And so I'm not guaranteeing something will happen with this transit, but I'm just telling you with caution, be aware of this and make your own decisions. I've had questions about this from my followers on Instagram, so I want to answer some questions about it in a practical way. So no, I don't think you should be out in public spaces. I do think that there's likely going to be some kind of event in the world where there's going to be violence. There's a possibility of earthquakes around that time. So from now until September 4th. And I believe that after September 4th, the energy will decompress, and we'll talk about how that carries over into Libra season a little bit later, or end of Virgo season a little later. But it's that moon that will trigger possibly some events on a personal level. I would not recommend that you do heavy lifting or, just really take it easy And especially with things where you could fall or hit your head or something's unstable, don't take those risks, is my advice. Also, there could be a big change with regard to financial systems. This is like a little add-on caveat. There's a lot going on in the monetary system now, and now let's talk about the bigger transit together. So the transit that I'm describing is called the Kite, and we'll talk about this more in a separate video. I've already discussed this with you guys last year, but we'll talk about this again. This Kite, I believe, is the marker of change. So the Kite is right here between Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and right now Venus, but there will be other transits like the moon and the sun triggering it. And essentially the Kite is forming off of the fact that Uranus and Pluto are forming a trine between each other. They're transitioning through signs at the same time together in a trine to each other. And Neptune is the midpoint. And so this is a very, very rare configuration that they have aligned in this way. And the fact that they're all changing signs at the right time at the same time is a marker of our transition from the time when we were really heavily in the earth and water energy, Pluto in Capricorn, Neptune in Pisces, and Uranus in Taurus, even though that's a shorter one. And now we're switching into fire and air, which is Aquarius and Aries and Gemini. So we're in a massive transition because all these outer planets are transitioning together. But from this is called a minor grand trine sextile. This is the formation between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. And then there's a focal point here, which is the Kite. And the Kite is going to be shifting. And whenever planets, like you see Venus here, transitioning into Libra today, it is going to be triggering that interaction, and so pushing things forward. This is why I think on a bigger scale, not just this Medusa stuff that we're talking about because Uranus is there, on a bigger scale, I believe this transit is going to be integral to the larger shift into fire and air energy. So all that transition that we're going through is going to be really activated by this Kite. So overall, this Kite is a wonderful energy. And I think it's already sort of started because right now Venus is in a trine to Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius. And then here is Sedna. We've talked about Sedna a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in doing a dedicated video on Sedna. She's a really outer planet that takes about 11,500 years to go around the solar system. The last time she was here, civilization was beginning. So now she's back for her second round. So her orbit has been as long as modern civilization has been around on Earth. And so she's in a trine to Venus and Pluto. And I think this is endemic. I'll mention this in our individual, astrology a little bit. This is more for August 29th specifically. August 29th, 30th, the 1st. This grand trine between Pluto, Sedna, and Venus is, especially for women, it's really powerful. It has something to do with misogyny, power systems, women's rights. I'm not trying to alienate men in this but Sedna is a story of a girl that was, in some stories she was antithetical to the norm. So she was different than what was normal, and she was pushed out of that, and through that experience became her own goddess, and a very powerful one of the Inuit pantheon, right? Their belief systems. But together, trining Venus and Pluto, we have a story here of a power struggle between masculine and feminine. And since we have two feminine transits that are trining each other in Pluto, there may be some kind of breaking point or breakthrough point for women's rights. There's going to be some kind of a moment of flowering for women. So you may be seeing significant events in your life come up that touch upon like your human rights as a woman, if you're a woman. This affects men also as well. So this is a liberation point, and I would say it's probably pretty positive overall. So I don't want you to think that even though I started off with the warning, I was really concerned to tell people the warning. You know, I don't warn people so directly all the time, but I think this year I have basically 2 warnings, this and something down the road in November and December. Until then, it's pretty regular astrology. And overall, 2024 is a pretty good year astrologically compared to what it can be. But I think this concentration of transits, the fact that Medusa is activated, the moon is at apogee, furthest position from the Earth, is probably indicative of something happening, you know. And overall, I mean, tragedy may strike the world, but overall, the events that are happening are pushing us into this new energy of air and fire. And so even though it may be tragic or some extreme event may happen, it is a part of that shift that's happening. It's going to be a big push. So there may be things that are tragic and terrible happening, but at the same time, as the moon transits here and later the sun, you know, and other transits, Mercury, we are going to experience some significant shifts right now with regard to what's going on. And so we've all been talking about it, you know, the American Revolution, you know, Pluto at the 29th degree, and, you know, these transitions. And so everything you've been hearing about the news and on social media about the changes that are happening, probably all those aspects will be a part of this. There is a shift. There is going to be some kind of event or a series of events that are going to be endemic or emblematic of the change into fire and air. So in a moment of intense change, in a moment of intense transformation, as an individual, you want to be mindful of the collective, right? So you don't want to run out into the field by yourself and expose yourself in a situation. You want to wait to see what the collective's doing, because none of us have control over that, and then kind of fall in line. That's just my advice. So I'm saying heed caution, don't be afraid, but don't make those reckless decisions. So that's all I had to say about that. There's a lot more to say about it more specifically, but for now I just wanted to give you guys an overview. So I do think that this Kite transit is powerful and wonderful. On a personal level, it's going to take you in new directions. So pay attention in your life, what's coming up, what new opportunities, and like what's on the horizon. Try not to be too stuck in the past with this. Releasing the past is a really good mindful practice. Let me explain why so that it makes sense. Right now, we have the final transit of Pluto in Capricorn starting. This will happen on September 1st to the 2nd. Pluto will enter into Capricorn, I believe, on the 1st. And Uranus is about to turn retrograde on top of Medusa, right? So this is in an earth sign of Taurus. And so these transits, Neptune, is at 29 degrees of Pisces. Also retrograde, about to leave Pisces to the 28th degree. So go down in Pisces a little bit further. But they're all going to be in earth signs within the first few days of September. And that's what's important. That's what is tying us to the past. Moving forward, all of these Kite formations for the next several years, I think the Kite will form until 2027, 2028. No, actually 2032, sorry. So it will keep on forming for the next 8 years, every single year like this. And not every single year. It'll start right now, and continue forming for the next 8 years until 2032. But the difference is that this year, the Kite is forming at the last degrees of earth and water. And moving forward, it's going to be forming in air and fire, right? And so all these transits that are going to be activating it won't be in earth like this year in Virgo. They will be in Libra moving forward. So this is the year in which events happen that tie to the past, and you want to prepare yourself to move forward forward, release the past, and embrace the future. It's a really, really powerful transit, you know, and I think it's, be open to it. Don't be afraid about the Medusa connection here. Just be mindful, because like things can move fast right now. And I'm also, how do I say this? I also think that the fact that Pluto enters the anaretic degree within a day of Uranus changing signs, and then we'll get a new moon right before the moon enters the 29th degree of Virgo. So we get a new moon on September 3rd. And so there's a lot happening all at once in the earth signs, but specifically the relationship between Pluto and Uranus, one planet changing directions and one entering the sign. So it's just huge energy. And specifically if you have placements on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius, Taurus and Gemini, Virgo and Libra, this is specifically most relevant for you. But then there's another important thing to be aware of. On September 18th, we get an eclipse, and the eclipse is going to be very near Neptune. And so as you can tell, Neptune is the focal point of our kite. And again, we're going to be having the sun here and the moon here, right? That's a full moon eclipse. So again, the kite will be activated. We'll talk about this a lot more moving forward. This is your just heads up. It's coming. It's on, like Donkey Kong, as we used to say. So this is really, in my opinion, the big transit. So I didn't want to be away and not tell you guys about this. And yes, buy lottery tickets. Think about it in a positive way. Look around yourself and look for the possibilities, because I really do think that there's a lot of positive here. Just be mindful from now until September 4th. Be very mindful of, be really mindful of like the energy. You don't want to get in a situation where you're getting hurt. That's the bottom line. And we'll see what happens in world politics. I wouldn't be like investing heavy, for example. This is not financial advice, but I would be very cautious with investing. Speaking of investing, I heard something wild today, so I want to share with you guys to cut the tension a little bit. I'm not your doom and gloom astrologer, so I'm just telling you this because I'm concerned, and I don't want people to get hurt. I don't want people who watch me get hurt, you know, the whole story. But I found out today, this is a scientific study, so this isn't just some woo-woo, you know, manifestation stuff. They have come to learn that a certain bacteria eats algae and poops out gold, 24 karat gold. So speaking of investment, the person who made this made the rightful observation, like what's going to happen to the value of gold if this is true. This is science. This is not some hokey pokey, you know, grifter, you know, turning metals to fake gold. There is a bacteria that can turn like natural fiber, whatever it eats, into gold by pooping. I'm so excited. I wear a lot of jewelry. I like jewelry, but I wear a lot of silver because a lot of gold is expensive. So I'm all for it. Let's start making gold. I'm excited for my gold jewelry, but what's going to happen to that price of gold? So gold is really expensive right now in the market. So it's interesting because if you don't know the history of gold, gold has been the reserve currency for the world for the last 3,000 years. It's been the thing that all currencies have been measured against, maybe 2,000, maybe I was overzealous to say that. So no matter what happens in, you know, economics or around the world, gold has been like the thing that carries value. So I thought that was an interesting story. I'm not so tied to gold being the reserve, you know, value, but I would love more gold rings. That's all I'm saying. So, okay, so let's begin our reading. I was really happy. It took me half an hour to explain this. If I went over anything too quickly, leave me a comment down below. I do plan on putting out some content on Instagram and on TikTok, short form content that gives you more information about this. So just regular posts. So if you guys ask me questions down below, then I'll be happy to put something together for you about it. Okay, so let's take a look about the signs. Okay, my biggest pet peeve, I'll tell you guys right now, I forget things a lot because when I'm thinking about a concept that I'm sharing with you, I get distracted and I think so deeply about it. Like I'm solely focused on what I'm talking about that I forget the other things that I want to say. And I've tried lists, I've tried lots of different things, but in that moment, it's so hard to remember. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm really happy today because I think I didn't forget anything that was important. And again, I don't want you to be worried. Astrology is a probability curve, which means that the probability of something happening is increasing right now, but doesn't mean that something bad will happen to you and yours. If you have placements alongside Taurus and Gemini, I would be extra careful. Just be careful, you know, don't take risks right now. After September 4th, you are fine. Okay. So let's talk about this for the signs, and we'll do 6 cards each. Oh, let's start with Taurus. That's perfect. Okay. Hey, Tauruses. So this is Sun, Moon, and Rising, like I said in the intro. And so let's take a look at how this will affect your sign, Taurus. So we'll do a little bit of like a overview in terms of the astrology, and then I'll pull some cards. Maybe pull some cards first so that when I'm talking about the astrology, it sort of can kind of tie it all in. So we have 6 of Cups. I love this. This is Sun in Scorpio. This is your opposite sign. This is the card of like deep closeness and connection. We have the High Priestess. You have a really good friend around you who has a lot of love in their heart for you. There's a really true connection between you and someone who's really that is really activated. Maybe it's this Neptune. Maybe this person is really far away. And then we have Queen of Cups. This person may be a water sign, a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, but do consider their moon or their rising, not just their sun for that position. It doesn't have to be this way, but it looks like you're near like a seer, you're near someone who's psychic. That can be someone who's not like a professional psychic, but rather someone, you know, you're sitting on the porch and they say wise things and you listen to them and drink sweet tea, you know. And then we have Queen of Pentacles, something like that. I get a really sincere connection, you know, heart-to-heart conversations for you, Taurus. And when we have the Two of really loving energy, I love this for you. So we have Queen of Pentacles, 2 of Cups, love is outpouring, and the Magician. Somebody is telling you where to go. On the bottom we have the Hanged Man. So there's delays. You've been in a holding pattern with regard to something, but somebody is giving you very good advice on which way to go. I'm getting like you're having long conversations, several hour talks, whether it's in person or far away. I wouldn't be surprised if this person isn't far away, despite the fact that this feels super close, like your heart to theirs. The Neptune in the 11th, I wouldn't be surprised if some of your closest friends aren't near you right now in a physical way. But, you know, we have Zoom, we have all these, you know, different technologies that allow us to be closer together. So this person is bringing, you know, love to you. On the other hand, we have the Queen of Pentacles, which could be you. It just feels like you're filled with love. There's maybe another person that's present, male or female. And the Magician to me is suggesting that you're ready to make some headway towards a certain path. Now let's take a look at the astrology a little bit. So I'm not looking at the Kite so much today, although I'll leave it up so that we can focus. I'm thinking about this first transit with the moon that's going to happen on September 3rd, right after the new moon. And so for you, I believe that you're in for some kind of moment in which you see an opportunity beyond what you are familiar with. This moment can be a challenge. So something may be challenging you to push past the kind of boundaries that you live within. Something may be kind of incentivizing you to reach towards something better. If something comes up of an opportune nature for you, especially if it's like in a friendly environment or somebody around you is really encouraging you to go for it, I think you should really consider it. It may be in the beginning stages right now, so don't overlook things that aren't the full package yet. It really does seem that there may be a call to action or a call for you to move forward. From the cards, it feels like there's a lot of sympathy. In some instances, this may be someone who's far away, Taurus, who's asking you to be with them. So you may be, prompted to go somewhere really far away. I'm going to give you a little warning with that. Where that is developing to, you know how I said everything's going to kind of switch into air and fire? If you do choose to go far, far away in this situation, which does seem fated, like this is a fated event, you may end up having to do a lot of work. So there may be a lot of work ahead of you to where you go. So you go into a new environment and you're going to have to put a lot of work in. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but something is calling out to you. There's some delay. Either you've been in a holding pattern or you're about to break a holding pattern. There's like something that's out of your control that's preventing you from changing things as quickly as you want. But there's this oasis, there's this loving energy that's actually a conduit for change for you. So pay attention to that in the next few days. Okay. And that is tied to the new moon. This isn't the new moon reading. We'll do something separate, but yep, just a heads up. Okay. So let's see the next sign. And then we have Cancer. Hey, Cancer, let's take a look at your transits. Cancer. Okay. So the moon is in Cancer right now, so I hope you guys are having a nice day. Always check where the moon is. If it's in one of your big three, you're usually having like a deeper experience in that day. Let's pick some cards first to see what kind of energies we're getting for you. Okay, so we got the Three of Cups. Three of Cups. And then we have the Five of Wands. And then we have the Eight of Swords. There's a reunion, but there's a but in that reunion. So there are apprehensions with regard to a reunion. There's the Death, which is Scorpio. Scorpio isn't directly involved in this, but Scorpio does oppose Taurus, so it is activated through that binary or that duality. Then we have the Queen of Wands, a Sag, Leo, or Aries, secondary placements in water, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. And then we have the Seven of Wands. Okay. I think this is you, Cancer. I think that, or let's see on the bottom, Ace of Cups. There's a possibility at a reunion with someone, but it comes with a lot of stressful energy. There's the Five of Wands and the Eight of Wands, which means that you feel in some way an inability to act or affect a situation. That's going to lead to a drastic change or a big decision that you are going to make. And I think it's going to really put the ball in your court, and you're going to put your foot down on something. This is the Ace of Cups, which is really, I think that making a decision in this situation is great. What else am I getting from this is that you may be revisiting a relationship with someone. It doesn't have to be romantic, just an interaction with someone, because you're being nice and you don't want to say no. And I think that maybe you'll get a taste of it. Either you'll talk to them or there'll be some exchange. And I think that you'll be very firm after that to say no. You'll know that that's not for you. And so I think that you're hesitant to make that decision, but out of that comes a new beginning. And let's talk about why that matters astrologically. So a lot of times when I read, by the time I'm looking at the cards, I can see it in the astrology reflecting. And so again, we're not talking about the whole kite altogether, even though that's like the theme overall, but we're really looking at your 7th house, right? We know the Pluto in the 7th house for Cancer was, as I usually say, the most intense transit for any sign. So for you had the most intense transit between 2009 and 2024. So because it was in your 7th house, you experienced a lot of like power struggles with people who were near you. As Pluto enters this, you're in the final stages of this for about 2 months. So maybe tying up loose ends with regard to relationships, putting your foot down in a situation where other people kind of took control, or you let other people take control, makes a lot of sense. So astrologically, it makes sense. But I'm really not concerned. My attention is heightened for this position here. This is your IC. And so this has to do with like early stage, early childhood programming, early age type of things. And so the moon will be in this position and Venus is here right now. I really feel as though this call for autonomy for you is so important here. And a lot of this has to do with you taking your power back, reclaiming your power. So it's like a situation will come up that will bring up personal issues to do with, like things you struggle with. Everybody's a little bit different. But the goal is for you to cut out the nonsense, whatever's not serving you, and really stand up for yourself. And when you do, you will have a nice little outcome here on your IC, an outflowing of new energy towards emotional fulfillment. So I think it's really good. It is going to change your whole life. I'm not being like overzealous by saying this is like a huge transit. Pay attention to what's happening now. Pay attention to what you're being called to do. If you're feeling squeamish about someone reaching out to you and wanting to talk to you, that's probably the situation we're talking about. And your lesson is to say no instead of go along with it and then regret it later. It feels like complications and uncomfortable feelings. The invitation is not welcome. And so I think that you're making a decision to like cut ties or even like step back. You don't always have to like cut people off forever, but you can take a step back to be truly you. The wands is like you expressing the self. And even Sedna here, Sedna's moved from your 11th house into your 12th house. But in the 11th house, where she was until this early summer, that was your friendships. It's about being let down by friends and like people not being there for you. So this is about taking back your power and saying, I already know what this is about. I don't need it. And I'm going to go in this new direction, set a new path for myself. A really good time for a reset. In other words, it's a really good time for you to reset those things. Okay? So thank you for joining me. Make sure to watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Even Venus or Mars, all the inner planets are interesting to watch for. Jupiter, even if you want to really stretch it. Okay, so let's see. So Leo's next. Hey Leos, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So I'm going to be talking a lot about this, but as this energy shifts that we talked about in the beginning, you really want to get familiar with your astrology, Leo, because as long as I've been doing this online, you have not been the focal point, maybe like in 2014. But now is going to be a time when your placements in Leo, sun, moon, rising, are going to be really activated. Not really under this transit specifically, but you'll see what's coming later. And we'll talk about you a lot moving forward. So Leo is like one of the up and coming signs. You know how we talked a lot about Aries and Capricorn in the last few years, you're going to be one of these signs to look out for in the next little while. So the energy's on you and in you and around you. So if you have Leo placements, this is important for you. Let's take a look at your tarot cards. So we have the Eight of Cups. That's Saturn in Pisces. That's where Saturn is right now. I don't have Saturn on the chart here, but he's about midway through Pisces right now. And there is going to be significant energies around Saturn and Pisces for the rest of the year, and definitely into early next year. I'll talk about that in a different video. But Saturn and Pisces, Eight of Cups. And then we have the Queen of Cups. And then we have the Five of Wands. Okay, somebody wants you to give more than maybe you have been giving. You may be reserved with this person for a good reason, but this person is really hoping. They're really frustrated about the fact that your friendship has separated. When I say, I need to clarify this just in case you're new watching. I believe all sorts of relationships are important. And I think that in order for a general reading, we need to consider all the different types of people who are watching. So some people are asexual and they only have, friendship or platonic friendships. And so that's not less significant than any other relationship. So when I mention the fact that it's a friendship or relationship, this is someone with whom you have a significant relationship, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's romance, whatever suits you, whatever stage you're at. But this person feels like there's been a separation, and that separation is bothering them, and they want to be closer with you. I can see that very clearly. But you're moving towards this person anyway. This was probably moving emotionally towards them, maybe slower than they would like. So if you're curious about a relationship where it's grown distant, somebody feels like it feels like somebody's really hoping you move closer towards them. So you can go faster now, basically. Okay, so, and this could be a man or a woman, but probably maybe a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Doesn't have to be that, but like they're very emotionally connected to this. Whatever's happened between whatever circumstances, whether it's a fight or whether it's not a fight and it just happened, this person doesn't want it to be that way. I can tell that very clearly. 10 of Pentacles, this might be a family member. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Ooh, lucky you, Leo. Look at this. 10 of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, and then 9 of Pentacles. Ooh, la. This could be also a return to work because we are triggering the 2nd house and the 8th house. So this could be like a boss who really loved you and you sort of 3 of Pentacles on the bottom. So for some of you, this is really about work. So there's been a breakdown in a relationship between you and someone, and they really, struggle without you, which is the 5 of Wands. They're not comfortable with you not being there. For you here, we have beautiful 10 of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, 9 of Pentacles. Life is good. Look at this moment, this astrology time here in the 2nd house as activating some great potential for financial growth, expansion, things like that. Maybe and I always point out that everything is relative, right? Like one person's fortune is another person's chump change. So don't compare yourself to other people. This is because then you'll miss your abundance, right? So this is signifying deep abundance, connected with family. Maybe I have a feeling that maybe there's been delays because things have been going so well for you with people that you care about. And so you've been deterred from acting on something because things have been really well connected. But ride out this wave, take it where it's going, understand that other people's disposition towards you is virtuous. They want you to be successful. They want you to succeed. And so this energy is abundant. And so don't challenge it. Go with it. It's taking you in a good direction. And so when we're looking at this grand trine, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit. We're not talking about the whole kite, just the grand trine right now in Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn, which is your 6th house. For you, this triggers your workplace activities, what you do for work, where you apply yourself. Uranus is at the last stages of Taurus for you. This is really significant, Leo. What it means is that at this time you are going towards like unique opportunities in your career, right? And so whatever comes up right now, even if it's a little strange, don't question things so much. This is a time to really go with the flow, be tolerant of what you are getting. You are getting some credible and positive outcomes with regard to a like workplace financial situation, and you will really benefit from being flexible and working with that. So whatever it is, I'm purposely being somewhat ambiguous because it will happen differently from different people. It may have to do with like people in your network, like people who you know, bringing positivity in. So just let it come in, go with the flow. Don't feign affection. Now, if you guys know the poem, The Desiderata, this is like a line that is true to my heart ever since I heard that poem. I don't remember a lot of the poem, but I remember this one line. It's like, don't feign affection. So if somebody likes you, don't waste it, because there's going to be a lot of people who don't like you in the world, not just you, but everyone. So when you find someone with good intention, someone who wants you there and who even needs you there, be grateful for that. So hurry up to this person. Financial success is coming your way. So good for you, Leo. I'm excited for you. This is good news for Leo. Overall, good energies for Leo. Lots of good astrology, intense astrology for Leo in the next few years. Okay, so let's see the next sign. Okay, so we have Virgo next. Hey, Virgos. Happy birthday, Virgo sons. How's it going? Okay, so let's see your energy. So we'll first look at your tarot cards, and then we'll take a look at your astrology, okay? I love this transit, by the way. I think it's going to be wild. So we'll talk about it more and more today. I just wanted to give you guys like an intro or a refresher to what we talked about last year. Okay. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. And for you, Virgo, right now it's all about ideas, and then it's going to transition more into career type things, work. So if you just watched Leo, you're heading to where they just finished. Okay. So, but right now you're still in your head, and you should use this year for that purpose. So creativity, coming up with ideas. Okay, so you have the Emperor first. That could be you, Virgo, with your master plan. And then we have the Hanged Man, certain delays. Someone wants something to happen, but there's delays. And then we have the Five of Swords. Okay. I do get the sense that there's rushing that's going on, like wanting something to happen quicker than it's ready. Don't get in your head about how quickly things come to pass. Then we have the Tower. Okay. A powerful transformation needs to happen before something can move ahead. Five of Pentacles, don't worry. That's intense. And then we have the Eight of Swords. So you're going to have to face something. On the bottom is the Two of Cups. You're facing something with some obstacles that are attached to it. This is something that you have to face. This might be a situation happening around you. Somebody is really afraid of loss or failure, things like that. And they are going through a period of time when they're very inundated by difficult ideas. It's slowing down everything. If this is happening around you, make sure to give yourself some space from that energy. That means that, if your partner's going through some kind of a crisis where they're worried about things, then allow them to go through that, but create space for yourself so their ideas don't affect you. So I don't feel as though this is yours. I feel like this is something around you that's holding things up in general. And so you have to allow things to happen external to you, not affecting this. This involves some degree of love and some degree of compassion and primary relationships. You have to let people go through things. Or if you're the one who's going through something in which there's an extended period of time in which you are troubled by complications in life or difficulties, you have to go through what you're going through, and you will find your way through it. Some of you Virgos, I'm going to be really frank here, you're going through hardship because of a partner. Your partner has been chaotic or unstable, and they have brought problems to you. The foundation of this is love, but it doesn't matter because it's manifesting as whole lots of complications. And so the idea here that I feel very strongly right now is, before all of these transits start moving into air and fire, you need to create autonomy for yourself in your situation. If it's a business and they're acting like unhinged and untrustworthy, then be mindful. Don't go down with the sinking ship, in other words. I'm not one to advise people to throw people out of their lives, because especially in something like a marriage that's many years, they will have hard times and you will have hard times. The important thing is to maintain healthy boundaries so that if they're going through hardship mentally, or if they're struggling in some way, you are least affected. Try to be as little affected by it as possible. So allow them, remember, this is yours, this is mine in terms of ideas or thoughts. So really practice segregation from the person who's creating this. It looks like a lot of fear. I think there are things that are happening around this person that are difficult and that they are facing. But I don't see in this any sort of, it's like a life crisis. We all go through it when we have nodal reversals, Uranus opposition, the midlife crisis, Saturn returns. These are like moments of tension that people experience. And if that's you, you will get through it one step at a time. If it's someone else around you, make sure it's not rubbing off on you. And that's kind of, I think, the point of this here is for you to stand in your truth, because the energy moving forward will be very much about you applying yourself in some way, Virgo, towards achieving financial success or progress. So it's really about making the world the way that you want it to be. This really starts next year with those kites that move into Libra and the other air signs. But right now in the first house, it has a lot to do with attachment. So an issue with attachment could be coming up, that in some way, attachment, me and you, where do you end? Where do I begin? Those kinds of things. So just work on healthy boundaries with whatever's going on right now. If you feel personally challenged by life and things are difficult for you now, then just practice applying positivity. Even though you may not see the end of the situation yet, I do believe that it feels like several different moderate circumstances that have come up that create a difficult situation. So I'm not saying anybody's making it up, but I don't think that this is going to break you, and I don't think this is going to end you. So you need to apply yourself in this situation, and you will come out well. And then next year, it's going to be much more about building and building up. So make sure that whatever you need to deal with right now, you deal with thoroughly. If somebody's going through something, know that struggle that they're going through is also temporary. It's not going to be forever. So ultimately, don't worry about, give them compassion, but also at the same time, know that their situation is not indefinite and it will end and they will get better. So if you're struggling with like a partner, female or male, who's really going through a hard time and you're just like, when is this going to end? You know, out of sympathy, but also like self-frustration, it is going to come to an end sooner or later. They're going to figure it out. I also feel like somebody is experiencing fear. So they're going in a life stage in which they're experiencing some degree of worry or fear. And so a lot of this is getting familiar with like the current way that things are. And it's only temporary. Once they get familiar, once they adapt, it will be much easier for them. I feel like this is a lot of someone in their head overwhelmed by what's going on. Okay. So, but there is this foundational love, 2 of Cups. So it's not wavering. So just keep with the long-term program here, okay? Thanks, Virgo. All right, so next sign. Virgo's got to get a tower for their birthday, right? Okay. No, it's only Virgo. Here's your tower. Here's your change. Okay, so next we have Sagittarius. Let's see what you guys get for your astrology and tarot. Okay, so Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's see. I want to start with tarot. So we get Queen of Cups. And then we get the Chariot card. And then we get the 2 of Swords. Somebody's making an offer or somebody's waiting to make an offer. They're deliberating, like an emotional offer. Your placements look pretty friendly or pretty more focused on relationships and romance. Overall, Sagittarians, I really like your Uranus placement right now. There's a real high chance of an unexpected connection with someone, somebody who's off the beaten path for you showing up in your life, a really good connection with a person. 2 of Wands. Then we have the 9 of Pentacles. And then we have the Knight of Swords. Okay. There's on the bottom is the 8 of Wands. So there's definitely someone who wants to share with you some kind of message. They want to share their devotion or love to you, some kind of positive message that they are going back on, going back and forth on. I believe the Queen of Cups may be you, and which would suggest that you're already into it. You're already enjoying the attention. You already have feelings for this person, but maybe nothing's been said. So there's going to be some kind of offer that comes through, but there's still a layer of deliberation here. I actually feel as though there's someone who's coming in for you with information or a message, like information about someone or information about a situation. I feel like they really want to say it to you. They really want to tell you something. And I think it's going to affect your perspective. So it's all about the way that you see things and the way that you see how things are. In some cases, there is someone who wants to tell you something about the person who you possibly are romantically interested in, or like in this person, this Chariot card here. So they may have information for you about someone, and I have a feeling that they may feel that it's valid, but maybe it's not as valid as they think. So maybe give them the time of day, let them say whatever they need to say, but they have an opinion on something that you're doing or something that you feel good about or something good that's coming your way. There's also 9 of Pentacles, which suggests quite a bit of financial success. This coincides well with our astrology because Pluto is about to enter into Capricorn in the 2nd house. This is the last end of a really benefic transit of Pluto in your 2nd house for the last 15 years. And so I would say intuitively push forward on any material things that you have going on right now. even if it feels like a stretch, I think that this is the time in which, and this is not financial advice, but in general, you have the last, especially if it's tied to something in the past, this is a time in which you should be very careful of creating doubt in circumstances where you have a good foothold, like financially especially. And I think that this is a really good time to challenge your environment, which means take a chance or take a risk, keep pushing. Like if you want to make something to make money, try it. This is going to be a very positive transit for you in an attempt to build that. And this is sort of the last, it's not going to, how do I say this? It's not going to happen for you in the future, but there's been some really positive transits in your 10th, 2nd, and 6th house over the last up to 15 years. And this is one of this remnant of it. So go with the energy, see where your mind's going, see what's being creative, don't hold back. I know there's doubt in the situation and other people may criticize it, but I think that you should move forward, especially if you feel really good about it. So I've been in these situations when there was a really good transit in my chart for like financial risks, or like buying something, and I'm like, no, I'll buy it later. The transit happens 2 months down the line, different astrology is happening, and that's no longer an opportunity, and I could have easily done it. So I think I'm getting from this a similar situation. Don't take huge risks that are going to like ruin you, but if it's within your means and you feel good about it and you're just doubting it, because what if, you should take that risk, you know? This includes with like improving things for yourself, buying something for yourself, doing something for yourself, whatever material things, you know, building something for yourself. All that kind of energy is positive. And so I think that you will have more receptivity from the outside world. This means that other people will understand what you are doing. Right now, you will not have as much understanding as you will next year. So you will have friends in the 11th house, and you will have more romantic or intimate connections with people who support you more starting next year. So right now, you need to be the instigator of that and not wait for other people to get it. Okay, so you got to go out on a limb here a little bit. Okay, so let's go for the next sign. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I haven't even checked the chat, so I've been like really like focused. You guys are having your chats. Hi everyone in the chat. I'm gonna go back and so far so good. If you're not a member, it looks like maybe I can save this for the public, but I can't guarantee it if we're kind of halfway through, if you know, I can't guarantee it, so I don't want you to be mad at me if I can't save it for the public. But I think so far it looks so good. So far it looks good. Okay. Okay, so next sign is Aries. Hey Aries, let's take a look at your chart. Okay, so Aries is next. Okay, that's interesting. You have this massive Neptune going into Aries next year. That's like the biggest transit. Maybe not of your life, but it's going to be huge. Neptune and Aries. And then the nodes are going to leave Aries, which is also interesting, and leave Libra. So that's big transition for you. But let's talk about this grand trine in Earth for now. We have Page of Wands, new beginnings. And then we have the Three of Swords. Again, similar to Sagittarius, maybe you can find a Sag friend. Right away, I'm picking up on a lack of understanding from people around you. So in other words, don't rely on their opinions, because it's usually motivated by something else, but something good comes out of it. Ace of Cups. I love this. So basically, I think that you're in a new territory with something. And I think that some people around you are not they're dismissive, or they're not receptive. And so you need to just bide your time. I think that good things will come from what you're doing. So don't doubt what you're doing, Aries. We have the Two of Cups. I think that maybe some of you guys are being very sensitive about a relationship. So somebody's not reacting in the way that you would expect or know. I think this is also tied to the fact that this is a fairly new type of situation for you. So you don't know how to react. And so you're questioning if this is normal, or if this is, you know, a sign of bigger problems. We have the Queen of Pentacles as the outcome. And then we have the Devil on the bottom. That could be a Capricorn energy. So in your 10th house. I do have a feeling that up here in Capricorn, where Pluto is entering, there's a really positive energy for you. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a person who is sort of like, how do I say this? Somebody has your back in a big way, and especially in terms of career or your public life. You feel very vulnerable to Aries. And this makes sense. I'm not showing this in the chart, but we know Chiron is here. You've just gone through a Chiron North Node conjunction. So you may be feeling a little bit more vulnerable, like things have been, like your wounds have been exposed, you know, sort of thing. And so you just feel maybe a little bit vulnerable in life. That's okay. That's, you know, I don't see something particularly bad happening, but maybe you're feeling sensitive. And I think that the other thing is that you're in a new environment with new people, and it's that green feeling, like you don't know what to expect. You don't know what to demand. And you're worried that it's not going to go your way, because you tend to like to know the thing that you're dealing with so that you know how to react. You're very direct as a sign. And so in this environment that's unfamiliar to you, feel unsure, not sure what to say. This might be an environment of people, a new relationship, a friendship. So you feel vulnerable, but I think it's going to be good. So you're feeling cautious. And with all this question marks around you, things that are uncertain, it really feels as though you are the teacher's pet. You are the one that someone with a lot of authority has singled out. Maybe it's not like a nepotism thing. It's a good friendship, and someone sees in you good qualities. And I have a feeling that you are in a, like, it feels like somebody's watching over you. Somebody who's alive, though, like someone with really good intentions, and someone who has the capacity to push you ahead to where you want to be. So even though you feel vulnerable, I don't think that, excuse me, that's necessarily going to carry over into some difficult situation. In fact, I do think that you are well received, well respected, and someone with a lot of authority is on your side, which is a big win. Okay, so let's take a look at the astrology a little bit. So the moon, which is here today, will close after the new moon on the second to the 3rd. It's like in the evening on September 2nd on the West Coast. And then as we move past the East Coast, it becomes September 3rd. Well, it's over here. The transit we're talking about is on September 3rd through the 4th, and it's actually here at the end of the sign. And so we're talking about a connection with Uranus and Pluto in the 10th house. And to me, this signifies a few things. Whatever you have been working on for a longer period of time, maybe even years, is coming into fruition. And maybe you're not expecting it to yield a good outcome, but I think it really is going to yield a good outcome and unexpected opportunities. It's really important, I think, for you to keep a positive mindset not in an entitled way, like I deserve this, but I think that good energy is coming your way, and circumstances specifically involving money may involve a turnaround for you right now, Aries, and specifically because someone's vouching for you, somebody's giving you good references, somebody's pushing you into receiving that which you've already earned. So there's like a good outcome. So maybe you feel alone in a situation, but you've already shown up a lot at work or whatever you do, like you've put in the time. And maybe you're missing the fact that there is people watching, or there's people who do remember how much effort you've put in. So your efforts are not going to be ignored, and they are going to be remembered and, recognized, and you're not going to miss out. So you feel vulnerable, like it's going to get lost, but I don't think it will. And I think that even if you're feeling kind of like unsure, good energy is coming, like emotional fulfillment, and what you hope would happen, I think, is coming your way. So good for you. And don't worry about the devil on the bottom. I think it's referring to Capricorn, specifically in the 10th house, career, public standing, things like this. Okay. When you're not so sure, again, the visibility, right? Capricorn devil, you're not so sure. The visibility is limited. You're not seeing the whole picture yet, but it's coming, and it's going to be good. Positive surprise. You've earned it, and you're going to get a good outcome. Okay. So next is Pisces. Hey, Pisces, let's see your transits. Okay. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. I'm going to switch the chart over to Pisces. Okay, so Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. Let's see your chart. Well, we see your chart, but let's see your tarot cards. Okay. So I'm not showing you the exact chart I'm reading for, but I wanted to show you like the bigger picture. I think it's more important. It is important that Venus is forming a grand trine to Pluto right now. That's a secondary consideration, but the moon on September 3rd, I think that's where the magic happens. And that's forming a grand trine to where Pluto will be in Capricorn and Uranus will be in Taurus. Okay. Again, you're another straddler of the IC. A few of the signs have activated points on the IC, which is like your early childhood stuff. You have Uranus there, Sedna there. So we'll see what comes out of that. I'll tell you in a minute. Okay. So we have the Ace of Wands. And then we have the King of Pentacles. And then we have the Five of Pentacles. There's a lot of fear of what's coming ahead for all the signs. So Five of Pentacles has shown up several times for different signs. I think that has a lot to do with that fear, the unknowing. When you're coming, especially if you're an earth or a water sign, the energy's been very cushy for us for a good couple decades because there's been a lot of big planets in earth and water signs. So if you're an earth or water sign, and you will intuitively sense, your instincts will tell you that a big change is coming, and like, will I be okay when everything is in fire and air? The first thing is, do you have anything in fire and air? Because those transits are going to now thrive. So it's going to be an reorientation for you towards those energies. That's important. But also, even if you don't have fire and air in your chart, this too will be positive in different ways as the planets move into different houses in your chart. So it's just a shift. And so this kind of what will happen financially, I think people know that there's going to be pretty big financial changes in the next few years. Not necessarily for the worst, but definitely a different path. I think that overall, not to get too political, even though that there's been a lot of opportunity to gain wealth now, there's been equally amount of abuse that has happened, financial abuse in the world between people. So people have really struggled with financial abuse and hardships. So we focus on the positive, you know, like the growing stock market and things like that. But it's really been a time when financial abuse has been at a high point too. So when you're feeling like, oh, what's going to happen? Like, we get a break from the financial abuse too between people, whether it's interpersonal or between corporations and people or whatever else. That element is going to be depreciated now. So, you know, you may be feeling kind of reserved about what's happening, Pisces, but I do feel that there's a lot of positive there. You know, like suddenly that the negative side of financial, the cutthroatness of things is going to subside that way. Okay. So a little bit more compassion, especially if you're a person who has less money. It's been like brutal for people who have less money, who don't own property, things like that. This is going to be an energy that's going to be much more understanding and much more, in other words, I think that there's going to be many more compassion or sympathy for your circumstances in life, and there will be your life quality will improve, because for the last 15 years I believe that your life quality was negatively affected by the fact that maybe you didn't have as much money as you wanted, and there was this cold-heartedness in the world, like if you have money you got it, but if you don't, too bad for you. I think that too bad for you is going to be lessened. So, you know, everybody's going to have a different thing. I'm just saying this when I see, this is for everyone, not just Pisces. When I see this 5 of Pentacles, I think that it's apprehensive, and I think people are worried, but I think that your life quality is going to actually improve, especially if you're not like on top of the game, making so much money that you can buffer yourself. People who are, you know, struggling or have been struggling, I think that you'll experience relief, you know, from that frantic pace we've been in. Okay. So just to reassure you, we have the 7 of Pentacles. And then we have the Last Judgment. One of my favorite cards. This card is the card of Pluto. So we have Pluto in Pisces 12th house, but is going to be in the 11th house for its last transit. And then we have the Tower. Okay. Wow. Big decision coming up. 7 of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles. Okay. Hold on one sec. I would say, Pisces, stay away from, this is moving forward. This isn't so much this transit, but it's kind of tied to it. Stay away from people who, listen, I don't believe this, you know, you have to cut out people if they're not on their best, because none of us are always at our best. It's about consistency and like a long-term thing, which you can't gauge based on what's happening now. In other words, I don't think that like dumping people because they're on hard times is like a equitable, fair, or even smart way to conduct your life. Some people choose that and then they end up completely alone because they were never friends to anyone along the way. So I'm like against that quite strongly. But I think that having said that, I do believe that people's attitudes rub off on each other, and it's all about personal boundaries and creating boundaries for yourself, even if you share the same house, even if it's your immediate family, right? So what I see here is just, I think it's very necessary for you to draw boundaries around people who are bringing doubt, especially of a financial nature, into your life, okay? People who are consistently bringing to you worry or concerns. I have a feeling that being so focused on money, Pisces, this is my message for you, is not the path forward. And I think you're going to be learning this right now, that and I've had this message for you before, that you internalize other people's energy. It's like that sponge, right? So you internalize other people's energy, and it's not it's not bringing you prosperity, right? And so what you need to do is, and this is when I was telling you about the IC here, this is what I was kind of talking about. These are really long-term patterns within your family, how you were brought up, and a radical change in your disposition or how you position yourself vis-a-vis their expectations and their projections onto you is going to be the key to your success. So it's like you against the system that wants you to be a certain way. And the system is all the people who are near you, who have gone to know you in a particular way. The person who's also worried financially, the person who's also getting stuck. I think that, again, this is very similar to Virgos. Clear boundaries are really necessary here. And this transit continues over the next several years. So right now we're talking about your 11th house and your first house and your third house. Let's look at this again. It's easier with the cursor. So right now the Grand Trine in Earth on September 3rd will be in your 11th house, your third house, and your 7th house. It's like, remember how I said at the beginning, it's like your last opportunity to deal with this energy, and what this energy is your personal relationships. And I think part of the lesson, very similar to Virgo, is to differentiate yourself from that which is happening around you. Because there's people around you who are bringing in chaos, and they have been for years. And I think that this is what the Tower, a decision to stop allowing the chaos in. And then next year, when the similar transits start happening, when Pluto re-enters Aquarius and Neptune enters Aries and Uranus starts entering Gemini, we're going to be talking more about the energies of your 12th house, your second house, your 8th house, and your 4th house. So you're going to be pushing ahead. And I think what you're going to be actually forming is communities with people that will get you to where you're wanting to be financially. So new attachments. It's not about dumping anyone. It's not about leaving someone behind, but it's about separating yourself and being more true to you, and then practicing that for a while. And then what I think will happen next year is more like-minded people will come in, and they will reinforce your energies moving forward. You'll have more people around who are like-minded. In other words, what I think is happening and what I think you're disattaching from is suspending yourself for the benefit of the group, and that group not helping you out, especially towards financial things and bringing you down financially. And I think where things are going is you recognizing that, where they end and where you begin, and sort of taking a new path, and then hanging out here in the 8th house, and then sort of waiting for new relationships to show up. And they'll come, but they'll come with your leadership. So you have to do it first. You have to have that positive mindset. So whoever is projecting that negativity onto you, Pisces, financially, you need to segregate yourself emotionally, as much physical space as needed, right? Until you can assure for yourself the right kind of mindset, so you're not sitting in anxiety financially, right? So if something's come up, you come to terms with it, and you come to your own decision. So you're really recognizing with this Grand Trine right now how much of an influence that negativity has had on you, how much it's held you back. And I think you're about to make some key decisions about, I can't let that influence me anymore. That's their issues, and these are my goals, and these are the things I want. So good for you, Pisces. Very similar to Virgo, although for Virgo the answer is much more like themselves, like them, because the chart is opposite. So for them, the answer is much more like they have to take the responsibility on their own shoulder. What you are going to be doing is much more collective. So with you're going to be finding the solutions in other people, whereas Virgo's going to find the solutions within their own actions. and they're both relating to money. Okay. Okay. So we have 5 signs to go. Capricorn's next. Hey, Capricorn, welcome back. Let's take a look at your chart. Capricorn, hey guys. Let's see your comments. Hi everyone, I hope you're having fun. So just as a reminder, this is filmed live for everyone, and I'm hoping to keep it public, but there might be a reason why I have to make it private and make it for members only. So if you are not a member, then you may want to stick around and watch this. If you're watching this after August 29th, after the live filming, and it's up for public, it's not going to go private after that. It's not going to go for members after that, so don't worry about it. But if you're here live, stick around, give me a thumbs up if you don't mind, or if you want to. Leave me a comment once this is posted, and thank you for watching. So we're going to watch Capricorn now. We have about 4 signs after Capricorn left. Okay. So we have the 4 of Wands. We have the 7 of Swords. Some of you guys, I'll be really frank with Capricorn. Well, I'm always frank, but I'm just giving you a heads up. Some of you guys might be going through a separation here with a partner, or considering a separation. This might be a time when your idyllic partnership is just not working out so much. Oh, look, there's a big decision along the way. Yeah. So I'm not like, I'm just acknowledging that it's here, right? I wish you all the best. But yeah, the idyllic situation may have turned and may have become less ideal. Okay. And then we have the Page of Swords. They may have said something, or you may have said something that changed the relationship, you know, like something was said in haste or kind of changed things. Page of Cups, Knight of Cups. You know what else I'm getting? 3 of Cups. Offhandedly, you say something to someone. On the bottom is the 8 of Pentacles. Offhandedly, you say something to someone, like a friend of yours, maybe on, like, I don't know, if whoever uses Facebook, or any other platform where you're connecting with friends, like people you know, and it really could spark a reconnection for you, Capricorn, with that person. So, you know, you just give an opinion on something, and it sparks the other person's interest. And that really stimulates a conversation between the two of you. So there could be some kind of spark leading to a renewed connection. For some of you, this has to do with work. So this could be like, maybe you're working in an office and you're pivoting towards a department again. So once again, you and a coworker spark up a better connection, and you start gravitating towards working together again. Or it's possible that, like, you run into an ex-boss and they say, hey, what are you doing now? And you'll be like, well, actually, you know, I'm a consultant. Well, we could use some help. So there could be some kind of reconnection with a person. This could be a friendship. It could be romance. It could have something to do with work. In fact, it feels like teaming up together. The key signature here to me seems to be a spark of interest. Oh, you're saying something interesting. I forgot how smart you are. I forgot how we had these interesting talks. That's what it sounds like. Like there's this, like a rekindling of, you know, shared interest. And so I think it's going to lead to work, or towards, you know, applying yourself towards something else. It's just a reconnection with someone, and someone who you know already sees you again and just remembers how cool you are. So, and that creates a reconnection. But it does feel as though an idyllic situation in your life has become less than ideal, so much so that I think that you're looking to pivot away from that. This could be a friendship or something else. It doesn't have to be the same situation, but it does look as though like a formal relationship with someone or a friendship that has been really central in your life, suddenly it's not adding up and it's no longer serving you the way that it was before. And so I think that you're about to make some changes with regard to it. Or I have a feeling that you see something in it that you didn't see before, and now that you see it, it changes the way that you feel about it. So sorry to be so frank, but I think the outcome is really good. I think that the outcome is like, in other words, I feel like, honestly, it feels like you've possibly changed over the last few months, like your personality and like who you are and what you're about. And like whatever you've been around doesn't fit anymore. And I think that maybe someone from the past fits better, or there's like something new that fits better. And it's going to be a very quick process. You're going to switch very, very quickly towards this new, like much more attuned to who you are. Okay. So it's good. Don't be afraid. All of us are, the main thing about today's reading is we're talking about a moment of significant change in a short period of time. And we've been kind of rolling along, this year. And now suddenly we're going to be thrust into massive change. There's going to be massive change in the world, and there's going to be massive change in our personal lives. And so we all have to be super flexible, and the more flexible and receptive and adaptive that we are to this environment, the better off we'll be. Definitely mutable and cardinal signs are better at this, and us fixed signs, because I know I'm a Virgo, but like I have tons in fixed. I'm mostly fixed. We have to, like, this is gonna feel uncomfortable. I'll just say it. So like, all the Leos, Scorpios, Tauruses, and what's Aquarians, you guys have to like get over yourselves, or we have to get over ourselves a little bit and really practice flexibility. So that's what I think is happening. It's just be aware that like what was vibing before isn't vibing now, and there's better things for you to do, in short. Okay. I think there's like a moth or something in my apartment, and I think it just fluttered. I keep hearing it. So if I start screaming, that's what it is. I'm fine. I think it flew in when the window was open or something. Okay, so I can hear its wings. Oh, poor thing. I don't think it's a bee, which is good. It sounds like more of like a moth, or definitely not a butterfly, but it sounds kind of big. So we'll see. Nothing is that huge here. I'm just being dramatic, but if you hear me screaming, that's what's up. Another feature of filming things live, bugs. Unexpected bugs coming in. Okay, so just for your like observation, we're talking really about today the earth houses. So we're talking about Virgo, which is your 9th house, and Capricorn, your 1st house, and Taurus, your 5th house. And all those 3 are going to be activated in this first week of September. And I think it's very, very important. And for you, I think this is like a change in mindset. I think that's what we're talking about. Like, someone from the past, it feels like maybe before they weren't a fit, and now some things have changed for you, and maybe they're more complementary as a person. So I do think that there's someone who you're coming back into. The tide is turning. And so I think where it's leading you ultimately is a change of ideas, and you're supposed to go with those ideas and, change your path. And I think that that's going to develop from now until September 18th, when we get that eclipse right here in the bottom of your chart in the 3rd house. So your environment's changing, Capricorn. Be receptive to it. You're not one to be mad if something's not working out, but this is a reminder to just like really let it happen. Okay. And then if someone hits you up, or if you run into someone at the store or in passing, make a good impression. Don't be shy to talk their ear off. Put a good foot forward. Just set good intentions and really speak your mind. Don't hold back. This is the time to sell yourself to people. Sell your ideas or sell your energy and see who it resonates with. Okay, so you can do it. It's a bit of a change, but it's a good one. Okay. So next sign is Scorpio. Hi, Scorpios. Let's see what's up for you. Sun, moon, and rising, right? Okay. Okay, so first we'll do your tarot, and then we'll work in the astrology. I like having this tarot down first because then I can refer the astrology to it. Okay. This was fun, you guys. We have 3 more to go. And I'm hoping that I can leave this posted for everyone, because I think, especially with those warnings at the beginning, I really tried not to go in hard with that. I really tried to be like, tell them gently, and I'm not like a doomer or gloomer. Doomer gloomer. But, you know, I'm concerned about this transit, and I want you guys to be safe. So anyway, so I hope the beginning wasn't too much. And as you can see, all these readings were somewhat positive for pretty much everyone. So I think everyone had like things to look forward to. Okay, so then we have Wheel of Fortune. So I picked for Scorpio, Queen of Cups, the Devil, and Wheel of Fortune. Okay. Okay, and then we have the King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, sometimes fire energies, Sag, Leo, or Aries, Page of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, and then we have the Four of Swords. That's like Moon in Libra, right? No, it's something in Libra. And then we have the Eight of Cups, Saturn in Pisces. That's where Saturn is right now. So for you, Scorpio, that's like in your 5th house. Let's see the cards first. It does look like somebody wants to push ambitiously towards something that maybe their motivations aren't 100% altruistic. Queen of Cups and the Capricorn Devil card and the Wheel of Fortune, it makes me think of like trying to secure power, but maybe for ulterior motives or ulterior energies. But there is success here, and I don't think that Wheel of Fortune is sustainable or like so positively placed in situations that are outright bad. So if there is a situation around you in which someone is scheming for like bad reasons, I think that you should get away from them fast and just reap the rewards of positivity and joy and growth and positive things. I have a feeling that you're meant to rest with people. Oh, you've been around someone who's been draining you, Scorpio. They're maybe a water sign too, and their signature is that they are scheming. They're a scheming type of person. Everything with them, they're always constantly scheming, always trying to manipulate and impose power onto other people. It's just exhausting to be around. And I think that you're shifting towards people, being around people like 2 air sign people, maybe. They don't have to have air signs, but they're not schemers. They're not like, how do I manipulate the environment to win? Like, this person seems greedy. This person seems like they're like just trying to win at all costs, very cutthroat, very not mindful, not demure, just not a very nice energy. Despite all of this, there is still success. And maybe at first you were attracted to their assertiveness, but in the long term, I think that it's just burnt you out completely. And I think that you're around people that are very mindful and demure air signs, and they are very, they're very like, not so much about emotions, more about logic and reason. So they're constantly talking about ideas, discussing, and it's a rest for you. I sense from you a flooding. So when we are flooded with emotions, when we're overstimulated, we shut down, right? We shut down emotionally, and we, 8 of Cups, we sort of like zone out. And I think that's where you're at. I think you've been around someone who's been incredibly emotionally heavy, saturating. And I think that it's a lot to take. And I don't think it's like a healthy person. I don't think it's healthy behaviors. You know, lying, stealing, conniving type energy. And you found yourself, we all sometimes find ourselves around nasty situations. And I think where you're going right now is this like reprieve around some like really smart people who talk about ideas. And I think you're going into a rest phase here. I think you're very much resting, taking a breather. Maybe this is part of a larger lesson. So let's bring it to the astrology here. You know, maybe it's a part of a larger life lesson to do with your 11th house of Virgo. So as the moon approaches this, after the new moon, just after the new moon, once the moon enters this area here, maybe with this new moon, you come to realization, like, how did I get here? Like, what is this place? And so I think that you reorient towards more healthier, more pragmatic, less calculated energies. I sense exhaustion, to be honest. Exhaustion to be around someone who's always, because for example, when a person is lying, the illogical side of lying is that once you start lying, you have to keep lying, right? Like once you start, you have to keep lying and remember those lies. So essentially, lying is not energy efficient, because you have to spend all that energy to remember the lies and continue lying and not forget. So it's not like a really smart behavior. And this is what essentially this to me represents. So it feels like heavy, draining energy. And I think you're going into a space that's like much more succinct, much more basic, much more to the point, and much less complicated. And maybe this is kind of like, I don't know if you've listened to the beginning, but I feel like right now this transit is signaling the last phase of the earth water trifecta that's been going on, double trifecta. And next year we're going to move into the triads of air and fire. And so for you, this represents the 11th house of friendship. And maybe one of those lessons is like, be careful of the company you keep, you know, and maybe you're learning a lesson like of being like overly weighed down by somebody's falsehoods, false ambitions, false persona, you know, and you have this 8 of Cups is like you walking away or disattaching in some way and finding freedom. So it's like maybe a personal lesson on how people's behavior affects you. Okay. So I really like the energy of your new friends. I really think that they are mindful of boundaries, and I don't think they're schemers or things like that. So you can just be around them without like being a part of a large ploy for whatever reason, right? Nonsensical even. Okay. All right. So next we have Gemini. Hey, Gemini. So you and Leo are the two signs that are going to be the focal point for the next 8 years. So your astrology is going to be often talked about in the next 8 years, and a lot's going to be happening with it. We already see Sedna here, and we have Uranus coming in over the next year, coming here very shortly, I think in 2025. But Sedna is an outer planet. It's not been in this position in Gemini for 11,400 years. So she's just entered your first house. If you guys want me to do more about this and talk about Sedna and like how that affects each sign, let me know in the comments when I post this video. Okay, so what we're talking about here is more the energy of the earth, which is in your 12th house, in your 8th house, and in your 4th house. Right away, for me, what this appears to be is a period of very intense circumstances in your life that may have peaked between 2019 and 2021 when we had that concentration of Capricorn. Things got very heavy for Gemini during that time. And your houses that have been activated under these transits have been, you know, mess around and find out sort of houses. Really intense, And maybe even if you didn't mess around, you were dealing with heavy, heavy energy. It tied to your family. It tied to, like, I don't know, like trust issues. It tied to things that you wanted to be that you couldn't ever, like, catch up to, things like that. And so as the energy pivots from this year into next and we shift towards fire and air, it is going to be a whole new energy for you that's going to be much more positive for you. You're going to feel a relief, okay? So this is the last grand trine or triad that you are going to experience in the earth over the next month, but the one with the moon here in Virgo is kind of like the last of that energy. So you're probably coming into realization about this period of time, anything from 2009 until now. You're probably really reminiscent and thinking about, like, asking yourself the big questions about family, about your spouse, about just, like, I don't know, just how the vibe. You're going to be asking yourself questions about, like, what it all is and what it all means. So you should, I would say, lean into that and use that energy as much as you can. And especially under this transit, when the moon is in Virgo, really explore whatever's going on in your life so that you can really zhuzh out, like, all of the lessons, because next year it's going to shift. So whatever you've gone through, hopefully you get some reprieve from, but hopefully with this transit right now in the earth, you will get some massive insights, okay? So about what it is and what it all means. Everybody's different, but whatever it is, it's going to hit close to home and it's going to be intense, and it has to do with big transformations and things that you don't necessarily understand or have control over. You have to just watch things happen in your life that you don't control. So we have the World, and then we have Temperance, Sagittarius, and then you have the Ace of Swords. There's a message possibly from a Sagittarius that's coming to you. It's a cathartic moment. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you receive messages to, like, clarify things, if secrets come out, things like that are possible here. We have the Queen of Cups. And then you have the Five of Cups. I do have a feeling that you're going to have a truth revealed to you about something. And the truth that's revealed may lead you to have a different perception of someone that you had before. In a negative sense, like you really liked someone and then you're going to side-eye them a little bit. And then you're going to get the Nine of Pentacles. It leads to personal empowerment. This is all like I said, the transit at the beginning, I don't know if you watched that part, but I said there's a warning, and that transit is kind of intense with the Medusa star, Algol. But overall, this whole configuration is really positive. It's taking us forward. So even though on the surface, you know, we may get an earthquake or we might get this or that, overall, the energy, the whole configuration of the kite is actually extremely powerful transformation for the whole world and us individually. So that's why I'm here. We have the Devil here. So that points to Capricorn, right? So I told you it has something to do with that 8th house. So 2019 through 2022 is when this was incredibly active in your chart. And remember, I told you guys many times that was, for you, it was probably the hardest out of any sign. So if you have Gemini placements, that period probably was the most difficult for your placements. Like arguably, I really do think that. And so yeah, it's a conclusion to those events, or the trail of events that are tied to that. There's a probably disclosure of some kind of secret, which makes you see someone in a different way. Seeing that person frees you, and you get to take more control over yourself. So it takes you out of purgatory. It takes you out of suspension, and you're no longer holding back, and there's some kind of opportunity that comes with that. Remember, this is a precursor to next year's transit. So as Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto re-enter those signs, like Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini, that's going to be, you're sort of in the preparatory period. So accept whatever is coming, whatever conclusive events are coming into your life that bring conclusion to that period of 2019 to 2022. Allow that to happen. Accept those insights, accept the lessons, listen to what you've learned, and move forward and allow that whole time to transition. You've been going through, in other words, a very involved and intense experience. It's very personal and like super intense. And where you are going now is going to be energetically, as a vibe, as like the whole system. It's going to be much lighter. It's going to be much less intense, much less. It feels almost intrusive, and it feels almost like disempowering in the sense that you haven't been able to do anything about it. So you feel like helpless in these circumstances, and that's what makes them so heavy. It may involve your family also, which is, super intense. And it may involve cycles of life and death, like huge things, like really intense things. And so now you're moving into like a spring is coming in your life. So if this was the winter, now is the spring. So hold on for spring, and whatever last snowfall, whatever last little moments of this winter are, accept them for what they are. There could be an invitation from far away too. So pay attention to that. It could be actually very like a positive opportunity. The World card here, Sagittarius, it might take a while for that to develop, maybe until those planets transition into the other signs. Okay, so yours felt the most intense, Gemini, just so you know. It not moving forward, just where you've been, and I feel like that's lifting. So whatever like heaviness you've been dealing with, sun, moon, and rising, even if you have Venus and Gemini and you're watching this, you're like, this resonates. Mercury, Venus, Mars, all of those planets. This is probably the biggest, like, it's almost like somebody's turning on the lights in your life. So good luck. And we'll talk about this more. This is just an overview. So we have 2 more signs. Last but not least, we have Aquarius, and we have 1 more sign. Thanks everybody for watching. I think I will be able to post this. Well, not say definitely, but I think it's looking like I'll be able to post this for everyone, which is great. Sun, moon, and rising. Aquarius. Gemini's was intense. Holy, it felt like a, oh, I heard it again. There's definitely something with wings near me. I saw a big beetle that has been trying to enter my house. Maybe that's what it is. It's listening to the reading. Okay, so, or maybe the aliens, they send in beetles to monitor us. It's like listening. Stay away, Mr. Beetle. But I'm just telling you, just in case I start screaming. So I caught the beetle inside my house once, and then I shooed it out, and then it left. And then I guess it came back. It just likes my house, but it's a big ass beetle if it's the one I'm thinking about. Okay, so 2 of Pentacles, Aquarius, the World also. Ooh, the air signs are going places. Okay, let's see what's next. We have the Temperance, Sagittarius card. Very similar to Gemini, but I'm picking, I'll show you guys, 2 of Swords. This is how I do it. I usually don't hold my hands this way, but just shuffle, I don't pay attention to just just to get a clean card, right? Out. The Tower, Ace of Pentacles. Okay. There's something that you are trying to achieve. On the bottom is the Knight of Wands. There's something that you're trying to achieve financially. It looks like you're trying to go for a job that's sort of out of your distance. Like it's too far for you. That's what it feels like. Not that it's too hard or anything. It just seems like it's hard. It's far away. It involves too much of a reach for you. And I don't think it's going to work out. I think you're trying to make it happen, but it's been like a heavy thing. And I think something else is going to grow out of this. So it feels like you've been either like traveling a really long distance for work, and gas is super expensive. In Canada, gas is $8 a gallon. So I was talking to someone in the US and they're like, oh yeah, it's getting expensive. You know, $5 or $6 a gallon. Nope. In Canada, it's almost like, $8.50 a gallon, things like that. So, gas is expensive. It feels like a stretch, whatever you're dealing with. Either you're traveling, or it would mean you would have to move, and that's like super intimidating. Whatever it is, it feels like something that's too far. And I feel like there's like doubt and like question marks around even doing this. You're just doing it because it's available to you or you can. But ultimately, I think that you're searching for a financial outcome. You're searching for a financial resolution. This may actually feel more autonomous as opposed to working for someone else. So this could feel like you're working for someone else, and out of this comes your own thing where you have more control over the circumstances. But here you are, the Knight of Wands, searching for an answer. This really feels like a time in my life when I was searching. Like, it was a longer period of time, I would say like 2 years, where I was doing all these, like, nothing was fitting. And it was really frustrating because I wanted to like go in like some direction, but I wasn't getting what I wanted, and it was just a really frustrating time. And so it's about that troubleshooting. You know, you're in that space where you're not quite where you want to be, and then you'll like finally find a path that fits. And I think it's frustrating, but at the same time, that's where you have the most possibilities. So you should definitely, you know, apply yourself and try to go forward. I think that if you're having questions about what you're doing now not working, I think your questions are valid. And I think if you feel burdened by what you have to do to achieve what you are doing, I think it's valid. And I think it's good. That doesn't mean you have to quit or change right now, but I think sooner or later, it feels like there's too many variables, not too many, how do I say this? There's not enough guarantees that this is the right path. And so therefore, I think sooner or later, I think you're sensing that it's not working. It's not going to work out. But I think out of that, you're going to find a solution that works much better. So now let's take a look at the astrology. So we're really focused on these earth signs, and this is the last year in which this kite or grand trine is going to form this way. So we're looking at your 4th house and your 12th house and 8th house. You know, what it seems to me, and really the focal point is the 8th house. I have a feeling that Aquarians are very autonomous, and you really do your own thing. Like, you do you very well. But I also feel like you're subject to conditioning placed on you by your family. Okay. So you got used to, you're going to be challenging some things that don't allow you to do more in line with what you really want to do. And I think that the reason you're really struggling right now, or like you're reaching this, overextending yourself into something, is because you're trying to live somebody else's life, live your family's life, what they give you. And maybe they do it with the best of intentions. I'm not saying this is like a bad thing, but I do feel like you're not where you need to be. And I think you're looking, and I think you're going to find it. And I think the reason why it might be frustrating or long-winded or like, is because you're overextending yourself for a lot less than, and it's all a part of a larger scheme of troubleshooting and finding. And I think you're going to find it. And I think right now, maybe what you're realizing through these circumstances is your behavior, your own actions you're noticing how your actions go against yourself. Like, it's not what you want. And you're like recognizing, like, I've allowed myself to go against my instincts. And so I think you're about to create some change and really fine tune what you want in your life more, right? You're going to fight for what you want in your life more. And then you're going to get the outcome you want. And by next year, it's going to be even more empowering. And I think by next year, some of you may choose to go far away, move, change. I think that for you, many of you, it's going to be like changing, going. I think the environment is not conducive for you right now. Okay? So, like where you're at, it's not the place for you. Okay? So, thanks, Aquarius. I'll read more. It's not that bad. It's just a little intense. You just need to let go of something here. Okay. Last but not least is Libra. And I said Gemini, Leo are the take center stage now as the energies are changing, but I forgot Libra. Your top three. So it's Gemini, Aries, and Libra that I think are going to be like the it signs for the next 8 years. So there we go. So it's all about air and fire. And if you have water or earth, don't freak out, but it's just, we're going to like it too. It's just going to be a different vibe. It's going to be different vibes. Okay, Libra, let's take a look. So for you, this grand trine that we're talking about today is hitting the 12th house, right on your ascendant, like right on the cusp between the 12th and the first house. And there's also activity in your 8th house and your 4th house, similar to the other air signs. So let's see. And if you're a cusper between Virgo and Libra, or you have placements along the cusps, this is particularly for you. Okay. So we have the Queen of Pentacles. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles. And then we have the King of Cups. Ooh, you got some good cards. People making long-term plans. Waiting for like the long term. I'm getting something about the long term. Stable. Three of Swords. And then you have the Page of Wands. And then you have the World. Okay, I'm going to make and then we have the Judgment. I'm going to make a bit of a prediction. This isn't for everyone, so don't freak out. But this could mean that if you're the Page of Wands, and this isn't for everyone, you could be adjacent to a relationship that you realize is more serious. So if you're the other person in a relationship of three, right, like the other love match, you may come to realize that the other two people are actually bonding way more together, which will lead you to experience some disappointment, but ultimately you're going to branch out, and you're making the decision. You're not going to sit around and wait. So you may realize that, two people are meant together, they're really clicking, and enough is enough. Enough is enough in terms of time. And so you branch off on a new path. But that's not everyone. If this resonates for you, that's your message. But that doesn't mean every Libra type person is experiencing that. But maybe some Libras are experiencing this perception that two people are settling down together and a third person is going off in a new direction as a consequence of that. You know, they need to branch out. They make the decision. Enough waiting around for an answer. Enough hoping that things will work out. It's specifically because you see the writing on the wall. You see the fact that, you know, like, or maybe like at work, somebody is waiting for a promotion and somebody else is waiting for you, and someone else are waiting for a promotion. And so you're sitting back and waiting, but it's becoming really clear that that other person's going to get promoted. And so I think that you will branch out. I think you're disappointed, but I think you'll branch out. The other thing that could be happening for Libras is that you are making long-term plans with someone that involve a lot of waiting for things to come into fruition. Long-term waiting, you know, there's an understanding between you and someone, and there's long-term plans. For some of you, you're waiting for like to have children, and there's a situation that in some way is tied to having children and long-term decisions like saving money in order to do that. If this is the case, then you're in a really wonderful situation. And I sense that there is some frustration in the interim, you know, like it's not coming fast enough, but it will come, and it will work out. There is a branching out energy. Branching out, I mean, is going to explore the world with new ideas, Libra. And there's a decision that is being made in order to do that. This could actually signify that you're quitting a job, changing a job, trying something different, reaching out to the world as opposed to dealing with what you have. Okay, let's take a look at your astrology. So a lot that's happening this year is in your 12th house, 4th house, and 8th house. This is like the last of it. We're going to experience this transit and a little bit more into September. But essentially, you're under the energy in which you have limited control, and it's really tied to you as a group of people, you as a family, or you and whoever you have partnered up with. It's not entirely up to you. And so elements of what's happening now may be frustrating because there's a level of patience and waiting that you've had to endure or experience in order to be a part of this group or this pair or whatever combination of people. It's not just you alone. But I think that that's going to be shifting a lot more to self-reliance in next year. That doesn't mean you're breaking up with anyone. It just means that you've been in a period in which you've had to compromise your choices and compromise your decisions. And next year you're entering a time in which you get to be much more assertive and much more like initiating of energy and initiating what you want. So be patient, allow the changes to happen, branch out wherever you need to right now, and understand some things are out of your control. It feels as though for material reasons, for money, you've had to make certain decisions. There's things like saving that's been happening a lot, which means you want to spend money, but you know you shouldn't, like you're saving for a down payment or something like that. And it's frustrating, but you know it's good for you. So it's like, it's not like a bad thing, but still you don't have control to change it right now. So that's the themes that are coming up with this transit. And you won't have to wait much longer. This is like the end of that, and you will come into completion in your situation with regard to this. You'll see the outcome of all that waiting, and it'll transition to something different now. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I had really a lot of fun doing this. So I think we'll be okay with, you know, posting this for everybody to watch. And thank you for the new member. I'm excited. I'll be doing more members content, both Verusians, which is the collective messages, as well as the all sign readings. But I thought I would get this out to you and warn you about Labor Day. So you've been warned. And if you want more information about it, I'm going to be looking at this from different angles. And so I will be posting more here, more for members about this, as well as more on Instagram. So go over and join me on Instagram. I have a new Instagram account. I think it's Verush Astrology, right? So you'll see it. It's the one with Danny DeVito with like the haircut. That's the newest post, is Danny DeVito with the Andy Warhol haircut. So come join us there and I'll give you more information. Feel free to DM me on Instagram. I don't follow up with my messages on Facebook. It's been like, I've been trying to, but like there's messages from 5 years ago I haven't answered. So if you want to talk to me, I think Instagram is like the most direct route. If you have any questions or suggestions, especially like, oh, what does this all mean? Trust me, when I posted first about this, you know, I posted some because they're quick videos, right? The reels on Instagram, they're quick. So I posted something really quick about it. And I had tons of questions about how this, in DMs, how this is going to affect me. Do I go out? Do I go out for Labor Day? All valid questions. And that helped me to answer today's video. So by all means, don't feel like, you know, you're asking a dumb question. If you want clarification, I do have a tendency to like jump over things really a lot. Not a lot, but sometimes I kind of like get to the point without explaining like the logic, and it loses some people. So if I've somehow not explained something thoroughly, then please let me know and I'll be happy to clarify it for you guys. Anyway, nice to be back. It looks like I can post this for the public, so if you're not a member, then there you go. But if you're not a member, consider becoming a member, because I'm back and there'll be lots of content for members coming up. Exciting content. So yeah, I'm excited to be back, and thank you for all your messages. I will read your comments now that I'm done. So thank you guys for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy Labor Day, but just stay out of public places and where you can get hurt, okay?